This video takes a look at the reactions involved in building and breaking macromolecules such as carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. So in order to build a macromolecule, we have to understand a little bit of terminology first. The first term that we want to outline is a monomer. Mono meaning one. So when we're talking about macromolecules, they are made up of sequences of monomers. So a monomer is any molecule that can bond to another to form a larger molecule. So if we take a look at this example of glucose here, we take a string of glucose, put them together, we can make a larger carbohydrate such as starch. We can also think of the analogy of Lego blocks. So for example, glucose is the monomer of carbohydrates, amino acids, the monomer of proteins, and nucleotides, when you string them together, you can get DNA or RNA or any of the nucleic acids. So monomers are base unit. When we start repeating those monomers, we end up with a polymer, poly meaning many. So a polymer is a compound made up of repeating pattern of monomers that are chemically bound together. So for example, we see that glucose now in a string here in an example of starch. Now the monomer can be single entities or can be sections of monomers, such as depicted in this example here. Examples of polymers would be carbohydrates, proteins, and DNA. Any of those macromolecules are made up of many monomers. So let's take a look at the reactions to make those larger molecules. Anabolic reactions. These reactions produce large molecules from the smaller subunits. So when we're going from monomers making polymers, that's an anabolic reaction. Just like professional athletes sometimes take anabolic steroids to speed up the growth or the building of muscle tissue. Building is associated with anabolic. Even more specifically, we can call these anabolic or building reactions dehydration synthesis or condensation reactions. The reason is dehydration implies that water is being removed from the molecules as they join. Condensation, same thing. If you see condensation on a window, it means that water has formed. So in a dehydration synthesis, it consumes energy to build the more complex molecules. So physics tells us that our universe prefers randomness. Those single monomers are very random. As soon as we start putting them together and making complex structures, we have to put some sort of energy in. So when we take these little monomers, we have to add energy to provide that structure of the complex molecule. They are covalently bonded through the loss of a water molecule. So you can see down here, we have a short polymer joining with a monomer here, and you get a water molecule kicked out. How that happens is the one of the two molecules that are joining is going to lose a hydroxyl group. The other loses the hydrogen. They were both bound to carbons. Those carbons will then form a covalent bond together. Catabolic reactions, on the other hand, is the breaking down of complex molecules into monomers or simpler molecules. We call this a hydrolysis reaction. Why? Because lysis means to split or to cut, and hydro is because we're using water to do so. So hydrolysis uses a water molecule to cleave or to cut a covalent bond. So it's breaking down of complex molecules into those smaller subunits. As we become more random, there is energy release, as you can see in the diagram down here. Covalent bonds are broken by the addition of the water. So as that water interacts with that covalent bond, the water splits, a hydroxyl group joins with one of the molecules, and a hydrogen joins with the other. Now, if you have a very long polymer, you can have many hydrolysis reactions. Every time a covalent bond is broken by a water molecule, that is a hydrolysis reaction. The reason we care about anabolic and catabolic reactions is as we move forward through the unit, we're going to take a look at the macromolecules and then how our body processes those to functionally create energy, because as macromolecules, they're not very useful to us. So we have to take a look at how our body can build the macromolecules, then break them down to access the energy that is stored within them.